Hello, everybody. My name is Drew Dosek, and welcome to Trading the Close. Today, we had the big FOMC meeting results, and we are still staged to have 2 rate cuts this year. Of course, tariffs haven't yet settled down, so all of that information can change, but Fed is targeting a 3.6 to 3.75 Fed funds rate by the end of the year this year. There were some other elements of data released. We do have a GDP outlook for this year that was also reduced again down to 1.4%. That was initially set at 2.1%, reduced down to 1.7, now at 1.4%. We also had the PCE is actually increasing, saying the inflation outlook is likely going to increase up to 3.1 from 2.5. And then we also had the unemployment rate slightly upticking for outlook this year at 4.5. Previous was 4.4 and 4.3. So what this all tells me is that stagflation is on the radar, folks. So the markets didn't really like that initially and sold off. It wasn't a big sell-off because there was really nothing new at this FOMC. So let's jump into the data with all the information on the summary board right here for the markets. We've got the Dow Jones now down 0.9%. NASDAQ up 0.31%, S&P 500 basically flat on the day. U.S. oil is retreating slightly down to 0.73%. We have gold that's down slightly also 0.65%, and Bitcoin also down roughly about 0.5%. So let's jump into the heat map and see where all of these stocks are ending up for the day. We've got Microsoft up just slightly, Meta down slightly, Google down 1.45%, Oracle up 1.13%, Palantir up 1.35%, Tesla faring well up 1.83%, NVDA, Apple, AVGO all in the green, and Amazon coming down ever so slightly there, down 0.76%. So let's jump into the SPX, and I've got the 10-minute chart on display here. So you see here we started the day, and we started moving up very nicely today. It looks like we were about to go higher than this previous consolidation area on the chart. Then selling pressure came in, and then all of a sudden, the meeting for the Fed, the FOMC came out, and then boom, we started selling down lower, making this bear flag towards the end of the day. And you see the S&P 500 now turning negative ever so slightly on the day. One thing I want to point out, though, I know we've been doing a lot of chop, but I've watched this intraday action today. It almost reminded me of a potential inverse head and shoulders pattern. But with this collapse at the end of the day, that pattern has now been negated. So we go back to the daily chart, and we see here we're still chopping around this declining trend line, only stayed above it for 4 days. Very similar situation occurred over here. We were only above it 4 days, but now we're chopping up and down, up and down, up and down. I think especially if this 10-minute bull flag pattern plays out, we're coming down next support on the S&P 500 at 5834.97. Into the Qs, not much change there, but you notice too, we're starting to form more of a rounded top, at least in the near term here on the Qs. Resistance to the upside still at all-time highs at 540.81. Support is going to be all the way down here at 493.46, and this will be a major level of support to watch for price action moving forward. Into the SMH. SMH still has not yet come back tagged this inclining trend line. You can see we've hit it now twice, once here and then once there, but we haven't come back and tagged it for the third time. Normally, a third tag of a trend line is actually the most solid for a bounce up. So I'm interested to see how this leads the markets. As I've mentioned before, semis typically lead the way. This is a bull flag pattern going into this trend line, which likely and probabilities point towards a move up. But if the rest of the markets in the S&P 500 are starting to go down, that will put a lot of pressure on SMH in doing that measure or that move higher up, getting potentially up to the bottom end of the parallel channel that you see here at the top of the screen. Into the IWM. IWM had a slightly positive day, up 0.48%, but mainly just chopping around right here at this support area. If we do continue to sell off in the S&P 500, it will likely pull the IWM down ever so slightly too. Next area of support is going to be right here on this declining trend line, right at 202.87. But all the while right now, still consolidating in this area, IWM could very well bounce and go up. So we're right here in the middle ground stage of IWM. Most important thing to take home, we are above this declining trend line, which is broken trend from the previous movements down on the chart. Next up, Bitcoin. You can see Bitcoin still here chopping around in this area above the inclining yellow trend line located right here. But we're now forming a wedge pattern right here, or a pennant, if you would, right here on the charts. So upward target for resistance is going to be 109,652. The downward side for support, we're right at it. It's $103,325. If that does break, next support's down here at 98,373. And it would make sense if the S&P starts falling, Bitcoin will also start falling too. One thing as well, Bitcoin and crypto space, as well as SMH, are typically leading indicators. SMH is showing strength, while the crypto space is showing relative weakness here, not at the all-time highs, just kind of starting to trickle down and really test the support levels. So really split messaging there between the SMH and the crypto prices falling. Next up, we've got gold. Gold here, as you see, was coming down from after the last couple of days, chopping around this $3,400 area. Right now, trading underneath $3,400. And next area of support, should gold come down, is going to be this declining top portion of the parallel. As we've already mentioned, we do have an inverse head and shoulders pattern that has triggered. So any sort of pullback into support would be a buying opportunity for the potential measured move up to $3,600 right here on the screen. Next up, we've got silver. Silver finally started to put in some retracement today. Silver has been on an incredible run. It's been on fire, moving up higher on the charts. This bull flag consolidation produced this big pop. Now it looks like price is coming right back into this consolidation area. Can we continue to consolidate and then make another run higher? Or will this support area first get tagged before we get up to that measured move target of $38.97? Any pullback on silver would be a buying opportunity to go up to that measured move there. Now, here we've got a short promo video. Please enjoy for Investor Empowerment Day coming up here just next week. Man, that video makes me smile. The talent our IT team has is just off the charts. Really cool stuff. So let's jump back into U.S. oil right here. We've got the chart on U.S. oil now breaking back above, as we saw yesterday, this declining trend line. We did not confirm a move up above this declining trend line as of yet. So still, price can come right back down underneath this area just as easily as it could go up and confirm. So right now, it's a no touch for me at the moment. We'll see if we get a confirmation move up above this green candle right here tomorrow, because basically these two trading days canceled themselves out for a breakout, and we had a new attempt that started at the base here of this green candle. So that's all I'm focusing on, this green candle and where price closes in the next coming days. Next up, Nat Gas. Nat Gas continues marching up. Next resistance area for Nat Gas is going to be $4.18, implying a move up potentially of around 13 cents there on that chart. Great move there on Nat Gas. But notice here, we've had now 6 days of moving up since this pivot low bottom here. So if we do have any sort of pullback, watch for a retrace down to this trend line currently around $3.86, and that could be a buying area for that move up to $4.18. Next up, the 10-year yield, not too much to report on here. You see that we are maintaining underneath this declining yellow trend line. So all is good there on the 10-year yield. Not too much reaction from the Fed there, but we did have some movement on the US dollar today after the FOMC. So the US dollar now finally breaking out from this declining trend line. Now we haven't confirmed, but notice where we close, right above. I love those sorts of closes. Whenever you do get these, they're easier to have a confirming move up the following day and close above that candle that did initially break through the trend. We can see here on the 10-minute chart, right here at 2 o'clock, right here, we initially had a wrong move at first. And guys, please understand this too. If you're day trading around the FOMC meeting, please note that usually the first move is the wrong move. And that's displayed right here on the chart of the dollar. You can see here was the first move right when the minutes were released. Price on the dollar went all the way down to $98.48. And then after that, you can see the results. We ripped higher and are now putting in a bull flag right here, just under $99 on the DXY. Impressive move on the DXY, no doubt about it. We'll see if we can confirm on that tomorrow. Next up, Coinbase. I've got the news listed here to point out. Look, Coinbase shares surged over 13%. You can see today closing 16.32% up on the charts because they were seeking an SEC approval for tokenized stock trading. Basically, what that means is that folks will be able to start trading stocks like with derivatives on Coinbase and through that exchange. So they're trying to get the opportunity for that opened up for all of the members there that do have Coinbase accounts that will also start being able to trade stocks. Now, they won't be able to own them. It'll be a tokenized version, so it will be slightly different. But Robinhood on the other end of the spectrum is kind of doing the same thing with adding in cryptocurrency trading into their platform too. So Coinbase, in essence, is going the opposite route and adding in stock trading. And you can see here, investors really like that angle of additional revenue opportunity and really pushed higher. But really, it was shown here on the charts. I've got a lot of trend lines here to kind of illustrate what has happened. We've had here a nice move up through this parallel, broke above, and what did we do? We put in bullish consolidation. And if you look over here on the longer term trend line, this trend line where price put in that bullish consolidation went from pivot to pivot all the way down here, and you can see when price broke above and never closed back down underneath that trend line, creating that bull flag pattern, and now push up higher, now breaking through this inclining trend line as well. That was the first area of resistance in which we did take a nice day trade here in the live day trading room on and capitalized a couple $1,000 on that in a matter of about 15 minutes. Very nice setup there with that trend line. So I take that trend line away now. Next resistance we're looking at is 305.42. There's a gap fill here that was already filled, but then you can see that 305 comes right in line with all of this chop. So next resistance isn't far away, but if Coinbase continues with this momentum, this is the trend line I'm looking at for another major level of resistance. It's going to be roughly around $347 on the chart. Next up, MRVL. Now, MRVL did also have some good news today. You can see right down here, they have increased their forecast, mainly because of the AI processor market and also the data center. So the increased forecast, investors love hearing that as far as more revenue coming in to this stock. And if we see here on the chart, it's also displayed that this likely was going to happen. And you might say, well, Drew, what are you talking about? How is it displayed on the charts? Well, because of the patterns that are there showing us the likelihood price was going to go up. We can see what is likely going to happen before these news announcements are made. That's why technical analysis is so powerful. All right, so back into the chart, we see an inverse head and shoulders pattern displayed right there on the chart with the measured move target at $89.89. Currently today, we did tag the first initial resistance and did sell back down on the charts. This is not a topping tail simply because the candle is not far enough away from previous price action to qualify it for a topping tail. Yet, price did sell off tremendously after popping up here to this first initial resistance area. So that resistance area is taken off. Then the next one is going to be this horizontal trend line right here strung out from pivot high to then pivot low. And that area is going to be $79 flat on the chart. That area should provide some decent resistance. Next area to target, though, is really that measured move. So any pullbacks can be a buying opportunity for MRVL to eventually get up here to almost the $90 range. Now into some mega caps. So we look at Tesla today. Now Tesla did have this huge fall basically on the back of all that Twitter and X and Truth Social war that occurred the other week. And now prices recovered back up and has since put in a bull flag. This bull flag measured move says Tesla can go back up to 375.60. It's going to have to fight its way through this declining trend line as well as this pivot top. But initially, this should be the major area of resistance for Tesla should price continue moving up. But that's what the charts are showing. Next up, we've got AVGO. AVGO, you see here, we came back down with price action into this inclining parallel, and we've since gotten right back on top. Near-term bull flag, but whenever I have consolidation right on top of a support area. Consolidation on top of a support area typically leads to price falling down and breaking through that support area. So since it's so close, I'm leaning more with probabilities that AVGO will likely start turning over a little bit in the near future. First area of support is going to be right here at 233 on the charts. Next up, we've got NVIDIA. Now notice NVIDIA's gradual incline, right? This gradual incline after this bull flag pattern, these inclines exhaust themselves, and it almost looks like the last week or so we're starting to flatten out in this area. So I would rather see NVIDIA with this bull flag pattern move straight up to this measured move, and then we can have price pull back down and potentially tag the support trend line roughly around $140. This gradual move up tells me we may not get up to this measured move and may start curling over sooner, which again, the support area for that is going to be right around $140. If this does get broken, next stop here is going to be $134.21. Last up, we've got Microsoft. Microsoft has been one of those charts defying gravity, much like NVIDIA, as we see here, just gradually climbing up, except for the last 4 or 5 days, starting to put in bullish consolidation. The main area I'm watching here on Microsoft is up here at 484.41. That's derived from a long-term trend line all the way back here on the charts. We're going to have to flip over to the weekly to show you that this is down here, this trend line from before 2000, back in 1999, folks. So that trend line is, needless to say, a long-term trend line. If we do have price push up into that area, there likely will be a decent pullback. First support at 468.35, followed by 448.61. Both of those should provide decent support, more so on this one just under 450. All right, folks, that wraps up Trading the Close. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. Again, my name is Drew Dosek. We've got a short message from BloFin. I look for, as a reminder, markets are closed tomorrow for the holiday with Juneteenth. I will be back here on Trading the Close come Monday when we have our Investor Empowerment Day. You guys take care. Look forward to seeing you next time.
Hey guys, Lawton here with Verified Investing, here with another video for BloFin. Now, BloFin, for those of you who are unfamiliar, is the exclusive crypto exchange of Verified Investing. Not only is it great for going long and going short, you can have leverage up to 150x. Let's take a look at what BloFin has to offer. All right, guys, so let's take a look at futures. So I'm actually already in a trade on BloFin. As you can tell, I entered long, and I have my take profit all the way up here and my stop loss right here on Bitcoin. I'm currently long Bitcoin, but let's see if we can find something else to potentially trade. So the great thing about BloFin is you can take a look at all of their pairs. I can trade anything I want from here, and I can see, okay, RVN USDT, this has been extremely volatile, at least on the hourly chart. But what type of pattern does this look like? To me, I say this looks absolutely bullish. So let's go to market, how much money I want to use. Let's say, let's change this to USDT. Let's say I want to put maybe $100 and use a little more leverage, use 10x leverage, and click buy long, confirm. And there I am. I am currently long on RVN USDT. Looks like a bull flag to me. I'm gonna add a stop loss down here to protect myself, and for my take profit. Ooh, I'd love to see it move all the way up here. So there it is. I'm in a trade on BloFin, and hopefully this works out in my favor. I've set my levels so easily. I can adjust my stop loss and take profit levels with the drag of a button. And I can even see all of the order books right here. I can see how many shares or in this case, tokens are being traded at any given price. All right, so that's BloFin. Thank you again so much to BloFin for sponsoring us. Again, there are so many crypto exchanges out there, but we chose BloFin to partner with because we like their user friendliness, their reliability, and we trust their product. We use it ourselves too. Have a great day, guys. See you later.